Alright, y'all. Oops, let me fix this. So let's talk about why children are so happy, or are typically the happiest people, or at least they should be. Children live in the feminine, which means that they allow for complete creative freedom, complete imaginative freedom. They do whatever their nervous system needs at that time, and they let their minds explore, and they're very honest and straightforward, and they don't and they accept things and people, especially as they are, without questioning them, or without trying to fit them into a box or anything like that. So these aspects that you see in children that, you know, a lot of times get shunned or corrected, are actually the things that liberate them, and would liberate all of humankind if, you know, we could just get our act together. I was in a store one time, and there was a woman in front of me in line with her son, and he was like 10. He was like 9 or 10, maybe. He might have been younger than that. And he was dancing to the music on the radio, on the intercom. And she told him to quit dancing. She was like, stop doing that. And he stopped. He was disappointed, but he stopped. But he listened to her because that was his caretaker, and he was doing as he was told, and was trusting the word of his caretaker. So he's listening to her instead of himself, which is what children do. They don't listen to themselves, they listen to you. So when you tell them something's not right, or they're doing the wrong thing, they'll accept it. And they don't just accept it, they accept that it's part of themselves. So later on, he's going to reject that part of himself that wants to dance, by the way, but we'll get to that. She was like, quit that dancing, knock that shit off. And he stopped. And to this day, I feel bad that I didn't speak up and say something, but I wanted in that moment to say, why can't he dance? Why can't he dance? What's wrong? Are you embarrassed? You know, like, what is it really? We're standing in line in a fucking store, shopping, and you're mad that he's dancing. But the child in that moment, what his nervous system wanted was to dance, because he probably liked the music on the intercom. That's it. That's it. So for somebody living in simplicity like that, and for somebody just living in a blissful moment, an innocent soul just doing its thing in the moment, and for a jaded, you know, bitter adult to look down and say, don't do that. That's horse shit. I mean, really, it's horse shit. And I just hope that child, you know, gets around somebody at some point who lets him dance and lets him just be himself, because, you know, his mother or whoever that bitch was obviously isn't. And if she sees later on that he doesn't want to talk to her, or he doesn't come to her with important things, or she can't get him to be himself around her and shit like that, I hope to God that she remembers that day where she looked at him and said, don't dance. When you tell a child or a soul to not do something that feeds that soul, especially in a kid, the child is going to take on that part take on what you've said as part of himself, and he's going to take that on and as part of his identity, and assume that from then on. You know, and maybe not after the first time, but after a while, after a little while, he's going to catch on. He's going to say, okay, you know, this, I shouldn't do that. I should reject that part of myself because that's not socially acceptable. God forbid. So after a while, the kid's going to say, okay, you know, that's not good, I won't do that. So when he gets older, there's going to be a lot of parts of himself that he's not in touch with because he was taught not to do that. What does that sound like? Men. A lot of women too, but I talk about women all the time, so, you know, just for this moment, let's talk about men. There's a lot they don't know about themselves because they reject that shit. We don't tell them to do it. Other men tell them to do it. Everyone suffers under the patriarchy, but other men tell them, don't do this, don't do that, don't cry, don't blah, blah, blah. Well, shit. If you're not going to be in touch with yourself enough, you know, to even cry and let your nervous system reset, then, you know, they wonder why they're so miserable. It's because they don't cleanse and they don't live they don't live authentically. Anybody who is not allowed to live authentically because somebody else has told them they can't, you know, is going to be really miserable. And like I say, for the child to be told, you know, don't dance, don't sing, don't play, don't whatever, you're letting that child know they can't live in creative mode. You're letting them know they can't live in creative mode, and you're also letting them know that they can't be themselves, they can't do what they need in the moment, and they can't regulate their nervous system. A lot of kids, you'll see them sometimes, they kind of jump around, you know, like, there won't be any reason for it. They'll just kind of like jump or shake it off or something like that. They'll just do like weird stuff with their bodies that grown-ups, you know, wouldn't do. Because why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like our viewpoint on that is twisted. Because we have to have reasons for stuff. We have to have, you know, so-called logical reasons for things. We think we're real logical compared to children. It's laughable. But, you know, children will do things in the moment that just seem kind of weird, or start singing or make weird sounds or whatever. And really all they're doing, their nervous system is just doing stuff it needs to regulate and reset and cleanse and get rid of something or come back to center, you know, or soothe itself or what have you. That's all it's doing. It's the vagus nerve is soothing itself. And children, being in the feminine, being in creative mode, and being closer to God, if you will, know these things naturally. It's us who are, you know, bound by the confines of whatever bullshit society we're living in, and say, oh no, don't do that, don't embarrass yourself. What they're really saying is, don't embarrass me. So why is your motherfucking ass embarrassed? Why are you embarrassed? Why? Because you're conforming to that shit? Shit, bitch, you can have that. Have the societal rules, have it, but don't do that to your child. Do you see what I mean? Because there's so much of that shit. Don't do that to him. Let him jump around if he wants to jump. Let him dance in the fucking drugstore if he wants to. Holy shit. You see what I mean? See what the problem is? So children being in the feminine and just like living, you know, and just creating and expanding and being creative and experimenting with things in the moment and you know, turning everything into art and exploring themselves and exploring everything and accepting the world as it is around them without trying to correct it or label it or ridicule it. You know, these are all feminine divine aspects, and that's where you start out, is in that realm. And then later on, the masculine, which is what the jaded masculine, this is really be what you'd call toxic masculinity, right? The jaded version of it is what that woman represented when she said, no. That's the masculine trying to apply rules and regs to everything, you know, and limits and build a fence and a list of do's and don'ts, you know. That's masculine shit. There's times when that's necessary and that's all fine and well, but you don't do that to a child who's just dancing to music. You don't do that. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm wishing now I had said something, you know, in the moment, but I was trying to mind my own business. But, you know, I watched that kid and he was sad, and I just thought, you know what, you're a bitch. You are a bitch. I mean, do you tell the dog to quit scratching when he's scratching? What the fuck's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, get over yourself. Do you know what I mean? So, things like that, it's good to consider when you see children, whether it's your kid or somebody else's, it won't matter. They're all the same. When you see children just do weird stuff with their bodies or whatever, they're cleansing their nervous system. That's all it is, bro. That's all it is. They're just doing what's natural. It's natural. It's normal. Your nervous system needs it too, but you just won't accept that you have to do shit to do it because, oh, that's weird. Why is that weird? Why is that even weird to you? Why is that even weird? Who told you that was weird? Well, it's just not what people do. Well, who's people? And fuck them. Do you see what I mean? So this thing about the societal, you know, what society prefers and shit and what it expects from people, this is why everybody's so damn miserable, because they're so fucking worried about what everybody else fucking thinks. They can go to hell. They can go straight to hell. You got to do what you want to do. If you're standing in public and you want to dance around a little bit, or you want to sing, or you want to hum, or you just need to shake it off, you know, you're in a bad mood or something, you're just trying to shake your nerves out. You're standing in an aisle, like looking at lotions or something, you just start doing this just to shake off the bad feeling. Fucking do it. So some stranger sees you, who's probably never going to see you again, witnesses you doing this for 5 seconds. So? And? Do you see what I mean? Do you see the issue? I just want people to understand that it's not really a big goddamn deal if you're doing something weird in public. There's a lot weirder things you could be doing. You know, I mean, if you're just standing there dancing or jiggling around or something just to release something from your nervous system, there's worse things you could be doing that you would be judged for. So I just wish that adults would get it together and get over themselves and just do the simple things that it would take, that would be nothing to do, that would be, you know, no big deal to do and carry out, and just do that shit for your nerves. This is why everybody's so pissed off all the time. You know? And even women now, a lot of women now are at a point where, because they're trying so hard they're trying so hard to keep up with men, because being a woman isn't enough in this world, and we're having to do things that they do, to the point we're getting it twisted, to the point where we're not crying anymore. A lot of women don't like crying. A lot of women don't want to be seen crying. They don't want to hug women. They don't want to hug anybody. They don't want men to see them cry. You know, whatever. And that's bullshit. If you call yourself a woman and you are XX, do you understand me? Do you understand me? If you are XX chromosomes, which can't be changed, you are a woman, whether you have a uterus or not, whether you were born with one or not, or you had it removed or whatever. That part isn't. You're still a portal. You know, whether you have that organ or not, you're still a portal because of what you are. You are a representative of the divine feminine, and it is your job to understand that and accept it about yourself, and to live that way and let yourself have that freedom, and set the example of how good it is to be in divine feminine. Set that example. Show people how good divine feminine is, and what it could be, and what it holds for people, the blessings it holds for people, and the image, and how good it feels to be around divine feminine. That's your job, is to be exemplary and show that. So if you're shutting that down and you're rejecting that part of yourself, well, damn, you're rejecting just about your whole self. And if you want to live, you know, in the light masculine, for example, and just, you know, be rough on everybody and not cry and tell people to quit doing stuff that feels good to them and shit like that, and try to, you know, administer rules and regs everywhere you go, and you make everybody miserable, then fine, do that, but you're not going to have any fucking friends. Do you see what I mean? It's important to be in the divine feminine, because that's where shit happens. That's where shit happens. That's the creative mode. That's the big bang. You know, boom, here it is. Like it, love it. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. That is it. And for people to sit there and reject it in a child, you know, you ought to have your ass beat for that, because it's fucking cruel. I'm very pro-child. I'm very pro-children's well-being and safety. And it pisses me the fuck off when people do shit like that. So, that woman, you know, there's no chance that she'll ever see this video. I don't really care. She probably, if she heard the story, she'd probably assume it wasn't her anyway. Oh, I would never do that. But, you know, it's important to see the divinity in children. And it's important to see what part of divinity is living through them, that pureness, that purity, because it's there, and it's there until you snuff it out. That's why kids see ghosts and shit, and see their ancestors and shit like that, and angels and all the rest of it. They see all those things until you go in their room at night and say, oh no, there's nothing there, because your dumb ass can't see it because you're not in touch with yourself. Well, that doesn't matter. I'm not trying to be a bitch, but I'm just telling you that doesn't matter. Just because you're unaware, and your filter is so damn strong that you're not in touch with anything around you, that part doesn't matter. The child knows it's there. So for you to go in their room and say, oh no, there's nothing there, you just need to go to sleep, blah, 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 and you force the kid to reject that power in themselves, they're going to grow up saying, oh, that shit's not real, and who knows what's going to happen after that. Their ancestors are going to try to reach out to them and beg them for something, beg to be heard or something like that. Some spirit's going to try to talk to them to try to tell them something important they need to know. God's going to try to talk to them. They're going to reject that. They're going to live in a haunted house and get scratches on them and shit like that. They're going to reject that. Oh, no, it must be my mind. It must be your mind. I'm just telling you the repercussions and the things that can go wrong. And there's going to be plenty of people that shake their head at this video. I really don't care. Bro, I don't care. I do not care. I'm telling you what it is, because I've seen it a million times. I've seen this shit. It happens all over the world. Doesn't matter what culture you are. Doesn't matter if you're monotheistic or not. I have zero use for monotheism for very fucking personal reasons, but that's just me. I'm telling you, you know, because a lot of them would be the first ones to shut it down. That's why I say that, and I have seen that firsthand many, many times. That's why I don't fuck with it. But adults are under this fucking guise that they have to do what society wants, or they won't fit in. God forbid you don't have any friends. Don't have any friends? Hell, after COVID, when everybody got used to sitting at home, look at how many people are online complaining about, ooh, I don't like people. Okay, then don't fucking be like them. Don't be like them. You don't like people, but yet you're so worried about everybody accepting you every time you leave the house. Be what you say you are. If you're such a badass and you're such a goddamn individual and you're some kind of, bad to the bone, then act like it. Be individual. Quit worrying about what everybody says. Don't suck in your stomach when you go outside to take the trash out. Since you're such a badass. You talk about being dangerous to offend and, oh, don't say the wrong thing to me. I'll ruin your life. Okay, carry a gun. Since you're such a fucking badass. I do. You're so bad. Go ahead, be bad. Do you see what I mean? I'm challenging adults who aren't using their fucking brains. If anything I've said here sounds like you and you feel attacked, I'm not, number one, I don't care. Two, the reason I'm saying it is because it's got to be said. And three, if you're feeling bad about yourself right now, or you're getting pissed off at me over shit I'm saying, then maybe I'm talking to you. And I'm not doing it to hurt your fucking feelings. I'm doing it to try to bring some shit to your attention that you obviously need to look at. This shit happens to me all the time. There's shit that's brought to my attention that people will say or do, and I'm like, oh man, maybe I should work on that within myself. Holy shit. And then I sit down and I think about it, and I do my best to sort it the fuck out. It's got to be sorted out, period. I'm so sick of people, not addressing shit. It's got to be looked at. That's the whole reason I'm even online, is to bring people's attention to shit that has to be looked at. That's why I live in the dark femme. It's in me. Well, it's in all of us, but you either accept it or you don't. But I accept it because that's a part of myself that is not going to go down lightly. I'm gonna live that way, and I'm gonna be that way no matter what. So, and by dark feminine, what I mean is dark feminine is here to purge and cleanse, and that means cleansing out bullshit and cleansing out things that aren't working anymore, and ideologies and habits and patterns and bullshit stuff that isn't working anymore. Probably didn't in the beginning. Like telling your children to quit dancing. Your ancestors would have told you to shut the fuck up. What do you mean tell that kid to quit dancing? I don't mean 100 years ago. I'm talking about 3,000 years ago, like your hardcore ancestors. They would have told you to shut the fuck up, let the kid dance, because the rest of his life is going to be trial and error. Let him dance. It's 5 seconds of him bouncing around. Let him do it. Why are you so offended by that? What, because you don't have the courage to do that? Oh, I don't care. There's a lot of people that don't like me because I say shit that needs to be said that everybody else is afraid to say. I don't care about that either. I'm still going to say it. I'm going to say this shit until I die, y'all. And after that, I'm probably going to appear as a ghost in the corner in somebody's room and be like, hey, you should probably work on this. Because I can see you fucking yourself up. That's my job. That is my job, to help you look at things that you're doing that are hurting you and or others. And to bring your damn attention to it so you'll fucking deal with it. Because otherwise you're going to be miserable until you do. Because people who tell other people to quit having fun, those people are miserable. Tell me I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. I'm not, so thank you. But I'm just telling you, if somebody's living in the divine feminine, you're going to say, oh, that's not socially unacceptable, then you might need to look at your society, because your society sounds like it sucks. And it's not legit. And it's not genuine at all. That divine feminine is at the fucking core. You ought to know this. Science knows it. Why don't you? So, I'm just saying it's there. But children start out with that, the divine feminine. Being in touch with the spirit world. Being in touch with the other side. I can see Grandpa so-and-so. I can see somebody in old-fashioned clothes. I can see, a spirit chilling in the corner. He's telling you to keep your head up. What does that mean? And shit like that. And then we tell them, oh, no, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. So you are rejecting, as an adult, if you do that kind of shit, you're rejecting so much of yourself just for the sake of what? Being in control? You think you're in control now? Because you reject those parts in yourself, and now you're rejecting it in the child? Oh, you don't want the child to live as freely as that? You don't want the child to have more freedom than you and feel better than you do? That's funny. You might need to look at that. But you see what I mean? This is why I get on here, is to say shit to make people think. So, my point is, children live in the divine feminine. And they live in it until they're taught to reject that part in themselves. And then after that, it's light masculine, which is rules and rules, and do's and don'ts. And don't do that. People won't like that. I don't give a fuck what people like. Fuck them. Do you think I care what people like, for real? Do you think I care? I fucking do what I do and I say what I say, and you can take it or you can fucking leave it. And that's it. And yes, I run my business this way. And yes, it's good. Yes, people like me. So, there's a point. There's a point to all this. People who want to hear the truth and want somebody to be honest with them, and want to really get down to business and really make the changes, get in touch with me. So, if that's you, you found me. Good. Let's get down to it. So, that's my point. And that's probably all this video is going to be. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I think I got my point across. But that's what I mean about the dark feminine, especially, is to say things that have just got to be said. So, because otherwise we're just all bouncing around like ignoring shit. I still feel bad that I didn't say anything that day when I saw that kid do that. I still feel bad that I didn't speak up. But I just hope that one day that kid decides to not listen to her, whoever she was. I hope he decides to not listen to her and just live his life and do his thing and do what's good for him. So, anyway, that's all I want to say for that, but that's my point. Children live in the divine feminine, and when you shut that down, you are clipping their wings dramatically, and it's crying shame. And if you feel the need to clip an innocent person's wings in such a way, then you might need to look at your motherfucking self and see where you've done that to yourself, and get over yourself and let yourself live and let that child live. Because this new generation coming up here, they're not going to listen anymore. They're not listening to all this previous shit about, oh, well, don't do that, people won't like that. Doesn't matter. Does not fucking matter. Does not fucking matter. Oh, don't, because I used to be told that, oh, don't do that, men won't like that. Do I look like I give a fuck if men like that? Do I look like I give a fuck? Short answer is I don't. Now, when I was a lot younger and I thought my survival depended on whether or not men approved of me, which is what we're all taught, and I thought that I wouldn't live if they didn't think I was great, then yeah, I busted my ass to get them to approve of me. Hell yeah. Oh my god, if men don't like me, I'm gonna fucking die. That is what women are taught. That's to crush the divine feminine so that you can't flourish. And when you can't flourish and when you're crushed and when the divine feminine is crushed, guess who benefits from that? Oh, shock, shock, dudes. Oh my god. Who would have never guessed? So that... They've been in charge 6,000 years, and all they can think about is how to crush you. It's okay, so let's keep that... Just keep that in mind, okay? Keep it in the back seat, but keep it in mind. So, once I got older, and then I realized I didn't need men to survive. And I didn't need them... And when women say that, we don't mean that we don't want your physical labor. Now, come in here and fix the toilet. You do that. Do that. Fix that toilet. I'm not touching it. I clean it all the time. I clean that toilet twice a week inside and out. I shouldn't have to fix it. But what we mean is, what we really mean when we say we don't need men is we don't need y'all's goddamn approval to live. We don't. You don't like me because I'm chubby. You don't like me because I'm wearing a shirt you don't like. You're mad because you can't see my nipples through my shirt. You're mad because I've got cellulite. You're mad because I got stretch marks. You're mad because I won't do it with you. Even after all that, you're still mad that I won't do it with you. It doesn't matter. Women don't care about that anymore. And we're getting back in touch with ourselves for fucking once and for fucking ever. And that other shit about making you happy doesn't matter because we don't, no offense, but you know, we don't need your approval to live. For a long time now, you've had it to where we did, but things are kind of changing and turning around. It's just not that way anymore. So, and I don't hate men. It's not that. Don't get that. I don't. But I still have to say what it is. I have to say what's been going on. I'm not going to sugarcoat. When was the last time I sugarcoated anything on this fucking channel? Go through any of my videos and see where I was, you know, dancing around it. I never do. I say what it is, period. That's the only way to do it. So, and I know there's plenty of dudes that don't think that way and don't want to crush women. I'm aware of that, and I know you're there. I know you're there. I'm not ever going to say you're not there, because I know you are. But about 80% of y'all, you know, can't get it together, which is why we have to be so careful with everybody, because we don't know which one of you is going to do something, in case, you know, anyone's wondering about that. But I will say this, if men could do the world a solid and start correcting each other, that'd be great. Because y'all don't correct each other anymore. Oh, that's none of my business. And now things are going the way they're going. Because y'all won't stop each other from doing dumb shit. Because it's none of your business. But it's your society that you're so proud of that you built. So there's an issue there. But another story for another time. We'll save that for another time. But point being, I got off topic a little bit. I didn't mean to do that. But the child being allowed to live in the divine feminine is hugely important. Because that is that's how we come out naturally. And that needs to stay that way if we're going to be a complete damn human being throughout our life. So, that's just something to keep in mind. You know, when your child is doing something weird, you're just going to have to let him be weird. Or he's either going to be weird or he's going to be miserable. It's one or the other. You know what I'm saying? Just let him do it. There's so many things. And that's when you get kids who turn into teenagers who don't go to their parents for shit. And then when they're around their friends and they're around people who do accept them, they're totally different people. And you'll wonder why the hell you never get to see that side of your child. Oh, gee, I don't know. So, just keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I mentioned some other stuff that I'll have to do other videos on because it's different topics. But if you stuck with me this far, thanks. That's it for that. And like I say, you know, just let your children be who they are and live in peace. Because once they're grown and they do have to do some things that society demands, you know, get a job and all the rest of it, there's going to be a lot of restrictions for a lot of things. And you really need to let them be themselves as much as they can, because it's going to be stifling later on in a lot of ways. So let's let them just be children and let them live in divine feminine and just let them be happy while they can. Thank you.